I discovered I had a problem with the way I mounted the motors using the Bug 6 frame. They're just not held securely enough, even though I've got a little bit of two-sided sticky tape underneath it. And a feature with the Bugs 3, which I think must be to do with the motherboard, flight control board, is that if the motor housing encounters any friction, or the prop encounters friction, it tends to cut out to protect it, which is good. But that's what was happening. I was having motors cut out. So what I've decided to do is to mount the motors on plywood, a little round piece of plywood, as you can see here. And what that is doing then allows me to mount it on the original black plastic bit that came with the motor. So that's the final assembly. So the motor is screwed to the plywood disc, and then the whole thing is screwed through from underneath here. So that should hold the whole thing a lot more rigid than has been the case so far. And what that means, I'm going to have to get stuck in and extract the black plastic holder from the other three motors. So that's my next step.
One of the motors didn't pick up. Now she's going. Wonder what that was about. Wow! Look at that! Oh man! Oh no! No! She dropped out of the sky.
Yeah, I throttled back a bit and it sort of cut out.
Oh dear.
Not sure why.
She cut out alright. Didn't break though. She was flying good at the start.
Yeah. So it was on plywood and then onto those.
Man.
The answer is that not strong enough, which is alright, because I was thinking I got some polypropylene, which is incredibly strong, slightly flexible plastic. So I replaced the plywood mounts with polypropylene.
Oh, okay, cool.
And try again.
Okay.
Well,
there we go.
That was a bit brief.
It flew.
It flew, you can say that.
It was stable too.
Yeah.
If I was trying to do a cost-effective build, this whole thing would be an incredibly frustrating waste of time. As is, I'm quite enjoying myself because I'm solving a series of problems. The most recent one was having the plywood things fail under load. These that I put underneath the motors fail under load and drop out of the sky. So what I've done, I've successfully mounted the motors on a very durable plastic base that I used to use for sailboard keels. But yeah, polypropylene, so very strong plastic and a wee bit thicker than plywood. So they hold fine. The next problem was that they overheat drastically. I flew for a bit and then found the thing, when I started again, the motors just wouldn't start. And I realised they're all very, very hot. So I gather from that the base plates, the metal base plates you find under Bug 3 motors aren't just for show, they're there for a real reason. They're a heat sink. So what I've done, I've put a thin sheet of aluminium with a bit of a tail running out where the wires are to go inside the frame to see if that'll cool things down a bit. So just comparing the weight of the original brushed motors against the new brushless ones, so that's coming in at 45 grams with the whole assembly, the motor plus the gears and the little plate. And here's a Bugs 3 motor, and that comes in at 21 grams, so less than half the weight of the original motor and yet quite a bit more powerful. It's just how technology has moved over the years. I've got it to the point where it's flying. I still have a problem which I'll illustrate. The bottom two props have got a little bit of drag, which I think is the central spindle of the motor touching the base plate. But so what happens, it flies for a fairly short time, and then the back motors tend to cut out as they heat up a bit. So I've got a cure for that, but I'm waiting for some more motor screws to come. I realise I'm a little short on them. It took a while to figure out what they are. So it flies beautifully, it's very stable. I've got a Foxeer Razor FPV cam on the front. That's the antenna for it, and the antenna over there is the Bugs 3 control antenna. So I think it's a lot of potential. With the polypropylene mounts, the motors are sitting up higher out of the body, which is better for cooling. So it's a long journey, but I'm getting there. As I say, you certainly wouldn't do this if you're looking for a cost-effective build, but if you're just curious to see what can be done, and you'd rather have something like this flying than sitting on a shelf, then it looks as if it's going to be worthwhile. So keep you posted.